I've shown you a number of different ways that you can go about, and obviously, if you reference the next point search guide, there's a number of different fields that we have not used while we've been going through this. But this is a great guide to leveraging the analytics tab, and then also utilizing the next point search guide to help you build out whatever searches that you're looking for. But if you're not as comfortable with building out your own Boolean search logic, we've also created this advanced search tool for you that you can leverage to kind of use as a what are those, like I don't want to call them cheat codes. I want to call it like a flashcard or something that's going to help you learn, where you could click into the advanced search and say, I'm looking for documents that have not yet been reviewed within a specific folder. And you can see that as I start to click into these things, it builds out the search syntax on your behalf up here. And there's a bunch of different things that you can do. You could say, you can do word proximity searches. So you could say, again, I'm looking for the word deal or booked within 20 words of each other, or whatever it is, if you know what you're looking for. So you can see that that comes up with the words deal, booked within that proximity of 20 words. I could get rid of this. If I were to say the exact phrase, contract extended, that would show up in quotation marks because it's the exact phrase. If I were to take that same thing and move it over to one or more of these words, or say contract and extended, you can see that it starts adding them in different ways. So this is saying the word contract and the word extended, and the exact phrase contract extended, and the words contract or extended, which kind of goes against these ones. So you have to be careful. If I were to run these, it would not show up with anything. So just need to think through what you're adding. And then there's some more tools down here that you have available to you as well. So you can see fuzzy searches is one that I like, especially for if you have specific search terms like a name or a pharmaceutical drug that could often be misspelled. So I know that my name is often misspelled, and I find this out with people that I've been hanging out around for years. I find myself in their phone as Lapinski, Lapinski. So there's a bunch of different ways that people will spell it. And honestly, our COO's last name is Bogoslawski. So I'm glad that mine is a little bit easier than hers. But if I were a part of this case and you wanted to identify documents that not only were an exact match for my name, but maybe someone misspelled it slightly, this fuzzy search is what you would want to use to be able to identify those, cast a wider net. You might get some false positives as well, but you're also maybe collecting some documents that could be responsive that you otherwise might have missed if you only had gone off of an exact match. You can do date range, Bates range. There's a bunch of different things that you can do here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this because I know that I'm not in this database. But once you hit advanced search, it runs that search saying, here are the 37 documents that hit on this, being the words contract or the word extended, and the review status is having not yet been reviewed yet, and within this specific folder. So one of the reasons I like using the advanced search tool, if you are not yet familiar with building out your own Boolean search logic, but I certainly didn't want to show this to you at the beginning so that you only use this as a crutch. I think that it can be a very helpful tool to help you learn how to go about building out these searches that you're looking for. But also, it's not the best way because, as you might have noticed, each time you click on something new, it only gives you the option to add it as an and. So I'm looking for this search and it to hit on this and it to hit on this. So once you run it, you can change things, and you could say, instead, or, and make this so it could be in other folders as well. And so then you get 1,684 documents. So you can edit it from here. But I just want to make sure that you're not using the advanced search as a crutch when you're going through here, which is why I wanted to teach you guys the basics of searches before we went to the advanced search tool. The last thing that I'll show you is so we went over the beginning, the pre-review, how you can use the analytics tool and searches to help organize yourself for your review process. I've kind of shown you how you can go once you're in the review process. One of the things I actually want to show you this, I think I've shown you this before as well, but you can look at how far along you are within a specific folder for reviewing, and to make sure you're not reviewing those same documents multiple times, I always recommend hovering over that folder and then going to those documents that have not yet been reviewed. It builds out that search syntax for you. We can see that all of these have not yet been reviewed, and you can work your way through those specific documents. But we've worked our way through the pre-review, during the review process, and once you have gone through the entire review process and coded all of the documents for relevancy and for privilege, and you're ready to produce, at that point, I would recommend using the filters. I don't like using filters for really anything else, because just like the advanced search tool, they are going to be able to, they're only going to be using ands as filters. And the other reason I don't like using it is, you'll see in a second, but for quick wins, like if I wanted to identify documents for work product that are relevant, they are responsive, and they are not privileged, and these are the documents I'm going to be producing, I would go ahead and then say filter for those specific documents. And then I've got those 534 documents, which I would then tag to a production folder and go through a few QC measures to make sure that it is in fact what I want to produce. But one of the things you'll notice is when I run a filter, it doesn't give me an option to edit that filter or change anything. It's all ands. So we can see that there's still two filters on here, but any filters that I add from there are going to be and this, and this, and this, being more and more specific. And I can't add nots, I can't add ors, and I can't edit it, which is why I don't like using filters as much. And I think that searches are by far a much better way to go when you're trying to identify specific documents. But for those quick wins, like identifying documents that are responsive and not privileged as I'm starting to produce, this is a quick, easy way to go about doing that. So I usually only leave a couple of minutes to go over filters, because personally, personally, I don't believe in them. No, they have their uses, but I personally think that searches are much more customizable and easier to be able to modify depending on what it is that you need to do.